Now look, we as Mkhonto Says are having nationwide celebrations of the death date of Commander General and President Jacob Zuma. And the theme for all these lectures that we're going to conduct in all provinces of South Africa is to now contest the narrative that President Zuma has wasted South Africa's opportunities when he was head of state and president. It was 9 wasted years. So we're going to firmly speak about his legacy, his revolutionary contributions to revolutionary politics in South Africa, but also to articulate his vision as to what becomes the agenda moving forward in terms of total emancipation and full realization of the Freedom Charter objectives. And this is part of the build-up to the inaugural President Jacob Zuma lecture, which is going to be held on the 26th of June 2025. So we are going to launch President Jacob Zuma's lecture series, which will then become an annual event from here on. So this is just part of the build-up of activities that are taking place in Mpumalanga, in Limpopo, in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, in all parts of South Africa. These activities at provincial, regional and sub-regional level. And a lot of branches as well are having different activities to have a solid narrative of President Zuma as a revolutionary, as an honest revolutionary who has championed the cause and interest of the people. The details of what we're going to talk about we'll explain when we're making the lecture today here in Soweto. I think that is clear.
I'd like to find out about your campaign, the campaign in terms of what you say are the stolen votes. Yesterday, your youth league basically had a march that didn't seem to resonate very much with your membership or supporters. It was not very well attended. What is the status there? How do you feel maybe people's understanding of what you're trying to do there?
No, look, Mkhonto Says has got rolling programs that are multifaceted in terms of My Vote Counts campaign. That is part of the campaign. So all our leagues, the student movement, the women's league, the youth league, the religious movement, are at any given point sounding the voice that elections were not free and fair. A lot of votes of Mkhonto Says were stolen. We've got empirical evidence as Mkhonto Says leadership that the votes were stolen. That is why we're going to court. We cannot waste the resources to go to court to challenge this. So we're building on that. So the Youth League does its own program, and the Women's League does its own program. Individual activists do their own programs as part of conscientizing society that the elections outcome of May 29, 2024 are not a reflection of the will of the people. So it's just part of the rolling programs which are happening. And we think that what the Youth League did yesterday was commendable in terms of the programs, in terms of the scale which they were mandated to work on. We think it's a commendable numbers that they received, and they will continue to consolidate in other parts of South Africa as well to demonstrate that the outcomes of the 2024 general elections are not a reflection of the will. We're going to talk inside about
Two questions before you go. Are you going to be did you receive a letter from Fikile Mbalula? Will you be meeting the ANC on the fiscal budget framework of the country and the budget? Then lastly, the MK's posture on President Donald Trump's view of South Africa, and in particular him saying that he will not be coming to the G20 summit.
No, look, we got a letter from the ANC Secretary General, and we responded to say we do not want to enter into domestic affairs of the government, the so-called government of national unity. If they've got budget impasse, it's their own issue. They've constituted a government with representatives of the colonial system, of racism, of apartheid. So they must see to finish as to how they handle their own issues. They can't utilize us as some spare wheel which they're going to utilize to scare the Democratic Alliance. That no, for them to win their immediate gains, they will go to MK, and then MK will then rush as if we're desperate for power. We know that as Mkhonto Says will represent majority of the people of South Africa. We are not desperate to enter into power through the ANC coalition or arrangements. We can take power single-handedly as an organization, we've got the necessary capacity to take power by ourselves. That is why less than 6 months into existence, Umkhonto we Sizwe could get upward of 14% of the vote in South Africa and have an outright majority in the province of KwaZulu-Natal in terms of the votes that were announced by the IEC, not in terms of the true reflection of the outcomes which we are still contesting now. So the ANC has written to us. We have responded to say that we do not want to enter into domestic affairs of the so-called government of national unity. Let them deal with their issues. We have got the relevant platforms as MK where we're going to articulate our position in terms of what is to be done in relation to the budgeting framework, in terms of the money bills that are still going to serve before Parliament. But one thing for sure is that as long as the government of national unity or any government includes the Democratic Alliance and all these other aspects, we are not going to allocate any budget as Umkhonto we Sizwe to representatives of oppression to expand on land, on basic education. We'll never support that budget. That is one issue which we have clearly articulated. I think the issue we have consistently articulated as well in relation to the United States of America is that let's adhere to the vision of President Jacob Zuma on building sustainable relationships with the BRICS countries. It's President Zuma who joined BRICS because he could foresee that the imperialist West will always want to bully the global South. And that is exactly what is happening now, that we must be told today tariff is 20%, is 30%, we must change trade relations and all of those things there. We have got sustainable friendships that started when President Zuma was head of state and president, with Brazil, with Russia, with China, with India. That group of countries constitute almost 40% of the global population. That is a very huge market. Their economy combined is more than these countries of imperialism, the neo-colonial countries which oppress the African continent. So America, UK, France, Japan, and all of those things in the G7, their economies are far smaller than the countries in the BRICS basket. And President Zuma has given us a compass as South Africa, as a people, that this is the direction that we must go. So South Africa should intensify its relationship with the BRICS countries. We must utilize this 90-day period to now look for alternate markets, because you can't trust the imperialist West. They are always self-seeking. Their relationship between themselves and the African continent has been a relationship of exploiter and exploited. Has been a relationship of a rider and a horse, the horse being the African continent. Towards which direction we do not know. So we've got a relationship that we must protect, and we again thank President Jacob Zuma on his birthday for giving us a compass of working within the BRICS framework. Thank you very much.
Birthday wish for Jacob Zuma.
Floyd.